hope you guys have like a snack, a drink, sustenance, something to get through this video because it might be a little bit long. Honestly, if you don't have something, pause, go grab something and come back. We're going to be here for a little while. I have acquired way more books than I can read in a month over the past couple of months. Like, I'm acquiring them faster than I can actually read them. So the pile grew. It grew really fast. And it grew really fast because of BookOutlet, because of sales. And they already have really good prices. And no, this isn't sponsored. I wish it was. One I'm going to start off with and include in this haul, even though it's not in my possession, is Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusak. Actually, my friend Ashley, who I've mentioned in another video, I will link her Instagram down below. She works at a bookstore, and she messaged me one night and was like, look what I found. And it was a signed copy of Bridge of Clay. And I loved The Book Thief so much. Like, honestly, of all the books that I own, that will probably be like highest on my my reread list, which I've never done before, but that book just Anyway, I loved The Book Thief so much, and I was so excited when Bridge of Clay came out, but I was going to hold off on buying it until it was like I could get a used copy for cheap. And she was like, look what I found, and it was a signed copy. And I was like, that's pretty flippin' cool. I am really excited about this Marcus Zusak book. I'm just really excited because I loved one of his books just so much, and I just think this is really neat. Plus, it's like the most beautiful hardcover. I will like put a picture up here somewhere. It's the most beautiful hardcover like I've ever seen, and definitely that I will own. So, starting off with Bridge of Clay, I can't even remember what it's about. I think it's just about like a family tragedy of some sort. I got The Dog Who Could Fly, and this is a nonfiction, and it is written about a World War II pilot who rescued a dog, and he like flew with the dog in his cockpit. That sounds really cool, and I'm pretty sure it's going to make me cry because I'm assuming the dog probably dies at some point, and when dogs die, everybody gets really sad. Next on the pile, and it is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. I did watch the movie on Netflix, which I loved. Like, I feel like it's one of those movies that's It literally just feels like a book, like you feel like you're watching a book. But I loved the movie so much, and even though I know everything, I feel like I'm still going to cry during the book. I'm just holding off on reading the book and so that the movie's not so fresh in my mind. But I'm really looking forward to this, and it's quite short, so I don't think it'll take long to get through. But I am looking forward to that. Take a shot every time I say looking forward to. Next one is from BookOutlet, and it is called Every Note Played by Lisa Genova. I believe this is a contemporary, and it's about a man who gets ALS and he can't play the piano anymore, and I believe him and his wife have separated. She comes to take care of him, like, while he's suffering through this illness, and I believe they kind of fall back in love, which is like, just sounds gut-wrenching because, like, I'm assuming they fall back in love, but then he dies, and it's like, and I don't know that's what happens, but, like, that's what I'm guessing, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this. I just love books that make me cry. The next one is The Illuminations by Andrew O'Hagan. I believe this is the relationship between a grandson and a grandmother, and I believe the grandmother has Alzheimer's or dementia, some kind of like memory loss issue, and he's, I guess, uncovering like secrets from her past before she loses all her memories. Next is Underwater, and honestly, I don't really remember what this one is about. I think it's about a girl who doesn't leave her home, but I feel like something happens and she didn't step in, or she somehow thought she could have changed the outcome, and now she's like afraid to leave her house, I think. Or it's something about feeling like you're underwater, obviously, because that's the title. Okay, so the next book I have here is Citizens Creek. This is from my friend Ashley. She gave this to me, by Lolita Tademi. And I'm just going to quickly read the back so that you guys can kind of get an idea of what it's about, because for some reason, every time I try to summarize this book, I just butcher the crap out of it. It follows an epic story of the life of Cow Tom. Born into slavery in Alabama in 1810, he possesses an extraordinary talent as a translator that makes him indispensable to his Creek Indian chief master as the new country expands westward, bringing Indians, settlers, and slaves into constant contact. But what will become of him in the Civil War? So, follows the Civil War. I'm sure there are lots of terrible things that happen in this book, but it sounds really interesting, and you guys know I love historical fiction. But I believe this also is based around like a lot of things that actually did happen as well, so there's that. The next one is called The Other Me by Saskia Sargentson. And I just think this book has, I don't know what it is about this cover, but I just think this cover in particular is really beautiful. And it follows, I believe it's 3 different perspectives. One is in 1986 London, one is in 1995 Leeds, and one is in 1930s Germany. And I'm just looking forward to see how all of these different characters converge. The next book I have here is The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane. I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of just bought this for the cover. Like, when I first clicked on it, I just thought the cover was absolutely gorgeous. And it has this, like, really nice foil. But this is, it says, in the remote Chinese mountain village, Leon and her family align their lives around the seasons and the farming of tea. For the Aka people, ensconced in ritual and routine, life goes on as it has for generations, until a stranger appears at the village gate in a jeep, the first automobile any of the villagers has ever seen. Next, we have The Cherry Harvest, which, surprise, surprise, is another historical fiction. As you guys know, I love historical fiction and I say it too much. But anyway, this is called The Cherry Harvest by Lucy Sana. It's about a German prisoner of war who gets sent to a farm to pick fruit because all of, like, the Americans, I believe, are off in the war. And as far as I know, there's a love story that ensues between the German soldier and a girl whose family owns this farm. I'm not usually huge on romance, but I feel like historical romance is, like, way more okay with me than just, like, straight, like, smutty stuff. I don't know. We'll see how I feel after this is done, but I feel like because it's historical fiction, I will enjoy it. Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore by Matthew Sullivan. It follows a girl named Lydia who works in a bookstore, and somebody commits suicide in one of their rooms at the bookstore. The guy who kills himself dies, and he kind of has left clues for Lydia to find, and she goes off and solves the mystery. Next one is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which is also from my friend Ashley. I'm really excited about this one. This follows, like, the roles of women in World War II. I believe it's, like, things that just don't get talked about a lot, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I feel like it's gonna rip my heart out. I feel like every time I've read this title, I read it wrong. If I fall, if I die. For some reason, I thought it said if I fall, I die. Like, I was, like, very exact. Okay, it's called If I Fall, If I Die by Michael Christie. I believe this one is about a mom who has agoraphobia, and she has a son, and she obviously doesn't leave her house. I think that's the right word, where she's afraid to leave her house. But her son, as he gets older, I think he's, I don't know, maybe an early teen, 12, 13 years old or so, he starts leaving the house, and I believe he takes up skateboarding. And I'm assuming that he ends up getting hurt at some point in this book, and she has to leave the threshold of her safe haven to go and, like, take care of her kid or whatever. I'm assuming that's what happens. I don't know if that's what happens, but that's what I'm guessing. Next, we have The Last Time I Saw Paris, another historical fiction. I don't remember exactly what the premise of this is. As far as I know, she lived there, she moved away, she came back. And I think there's a love story. Night Music, and I think this is the last one from Ashley in this pile. And she actually said she didn't love this one, so I'm like, ooh, am I going to like it? Is this going to be the one that's different, or am I going to feel the same way and hate it? I have no idea. Isabel Delaney has always taken her gilded life for granted, but when her husband dies suddenly, leaving her with a mountain of debt, she and her 2 children are forced to abandon their home and move to a crumbling pile in the country. Next, we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and I believe this is a fantasy story set in the 1800s where a mystical circus comes to town and everybody goes to the circus. I don't really know what happens there, but I've heard that it's a really, like, beautiful story, and so excitement. Is not a historical fiction. What? The next one is Force of Nature by Jane Harper, and she also wrote a book called The Dry, and I think there's another one coming out soon. I have not read this yet. This is a mystery thriller, I believe. A bunch of women go into a forest and one of them doesn't come out, and they want to know who's lying or if someone killed her or what happened. Next, also not historical fiction, this is More Than We Can Tell by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the companion book to Letters to the Lost. As far as I know, like, they're not a series, but they're, like, companion books because it follows Oh my goodness, how did I forget his name? It follows Rev, one of the main character's best friends from Letters to the Lost, and like a love interest of his, as far as I know. I loved Rev. He was like, oh, he was just so sweet. I loved him. So I'm really excited to read like his story. Next is historical fiction, Lilac Girls. I got this from BookOutlet. It is quite a chunky book, quite a big book. Again, I don't really know exactly what this is about. I just know it keeps being recommended to me and people keep telling me it's really good. And I know it's women surrounding World War II. It's really all I need to know, but I am excited. The next one I actually put in my shopping cart and then came back on BookOutlet and it was gone. Somebody else had bought the copy that was there and I waited and it finally came back in stock, which I was really excited about. This is a historical fiction and it's called The Boat Runner by Devlin Murphy, and it's about, I believe, a family. I can't remember if it's a father and his sons or the two sons. They help smuggle Jews out on a boat, and I think that just, oh, my heart. The next one is The Great Hunt by Wendy Higgins. I believe that it's like the townspeople are trying to kill this beast that is terrorizing the village, and I think, if I remember correctly, whoever kills the beast gets to marry her, as far as I know. The next one is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. I believe this is about a girl whose best friend goes missing, and then the girl leaves town, and then when she comes back, more girls start going missing again, which makes her look super suspicious. And I think someone said this one is written almost backwards, like you go back in time to unravel the mystery. So last but not least, we have Bull Mountain by Brian Panovich, and I believe this is about a family who's like, they like do drug smuggling and moonshine selling, I think. Anyway, one of the sons, I think, moves away and becomes a police officer, but then trouble ensues and like they start going after his family. I think that's what happens, but it sounded really interesting, and I kind of have a thing for trees on book covers. I just think they're beautiful. These are all the ones that I've purchased recently. I need to start reading them soon. Let me know if any of these are like awesome, if you hated any of them. No spoilers, please, but let me know down below, or any recommendations. What are you reading right now? Just like comment below. Give me your input. I am super excited about all of these books. I'm hoping they'll end up being as good as I think they're gonna be, but I will keep you updated. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye!